This is a Notebook LM production of Ohio Circular Future.
We all know the race for AI is on, right? But what you might not think about is that it's powered by a crazy amount of electricity. This incredible demand is putting a huge strain on our power grids, but it's also kicking off a brand new kind of industrial revolution in a place you might not expect, the American heartland. So today we're going to dig into how Ohio is making this massive circular bet, connecting data centers, power plants, and even greenhouses in a really radical new vision for its future. All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll tackle the massive energy problem that AI is creating. Then, we'll zoom right into one Ohio town that's looking to completely reinvent itself. After that, we'll get into the details of this amazing circular model they're proposing, see what financial tools are making it all possible, and then, at the end, we'll ask the big question. Could this be a new blueprint for the rest of the country? Okay, first up, let's unpack the core problem here, the thing that's forcing the entire tech industry to think way outside the box. It's a classic story of supply and demand, but honestly, on a scale we've never seen before. Every single time you ask an AI tool a question, you're plugging into a massive, power-hungry data center somewhere. And as AI just explodes in popularity, so does the need for these buildings. And it turns out they have an absolutely insatiable appetite for two things our infrastructure is really struggling with: huge amounts of electricity and, believe it or not, a ton of water for cooling. So get this. The traditional home for data centers, Virginia, is so packed that if you want to build a new one, you could be waiting a decade, just to get plugged into the grid. And as companies search for new places, they're running into another problem. Water isn't endless. It's a huge limiting factor. So what does this all mean? It means the digital world is basically hitting a brick wall. The very foundation that supports our cloud is being pushed to its breaking point, and that's forcing the industry to find totally new places and new ways to grow. And that brings us to Ohio. Let's take a look at how this global tech bottleneck is creating this really unique opportunity in a part of America that's been searching for its next big thing for a while. So here we are. This is Ontario, Ohio, part of the Mansfield area. Like a lot of towns in the so-called Rust Belt, it has this incredibly rich industrial history. And it's been actively looking for new ways to bring jobs and economic growth back to the community. And you don't just have to take my word for it. This quote from their own community plan, it says it all. They have a clear game plan. Take the land where old industrial giants once stood, like this former GM plant, and turn them into hubs for the industries of the future. The history here is just so key to understanding this. I mean, back in the day, Mansfield was a powerhouse. Through companies like Westinghouse, it was literally helping to build the world of tomorrow. Then came a period of decline, a story we've heard before. But that brings us to today, where there's this powerful desire to reclaim that identity, not by going backward, but by building a totally new, high-tech future. So you've got this huge global problem, the need for power and space for AI, and you have this local town just hungry for investment. This is the perfect setup for a company called EnergiAcres, which is coming in with a solution that is, well, it's pretty game-changing. This line right here sums up their whole strategy. Why wait 10 years for the power company to hook you up? Instead, they just say, let's build the power plant right next to the data center. It's this energy-first approach that generates all the power it needs on site, totally sidestepping that gridlock we were talking about. And when we talk about this plan, the scale is it's kind of mind-blowing. We're talking about over 4.5 gigawatts of power just from 3 sites. To put that in perspective, that's enough juice to power millions of homes, all of it built for one purpose: to feed the massive appetite of AI. Okay, this is where it gets really, really cool. This is the heart of the whole circular idea. So step 1, generate power with local natural gas. Step 2, shoot that power directly over to the data centers next door. But here's the genius part. Step 3, capture all the waste heat and CO2 coming off of both the power plant and the data centers. And then, for the final step, you pipe all that so-called waste into these enormous greenhouses to grow food all year round. The trash from one industry becomes the treasure for another. It's a system that could help solve for energy, tech growth, and local food production all at once. Now, a vision this big, this complex, it's not going to happen on its own, right? It needs the right kind of financial soil to grow in. And it turns out Ohio has been putting some really clever tools in place. One of the most powerful tools they have is something called a community reinvestment area, or CRA. The easiest way to think about it is as a special zone where a town can say, hey, if you build here in an area that really needs a boost, we'll make it worth your while with a major tax break. It's all about sparking that first wave of new investment. And let me show you just how powerful this is. Without a CRA, a developer gets hit with the full property tax bill right away, which on a project this big is a huge barrier. But inside a CRA, they can get a 100% tax break for 15, maybe even 20 years. For a company making a huge long-term bet, that's not just a nice little perk. That can be the one thing that makes the entire project possible. It totally changes the math and makes a place like Ontario, Ohio competitive on a global scale. So you see, this isn't happening in Ohio by accident. It's a perfect storm. You've got the raw materials right under your feet with some of the biggest natural gas reserves on the planet. You have communities that are eager for revitalization, and you have these smart financial incentives, from the tax breaks we just talked about to a total sales tax exemption on all that expensive data center equipment that just tie it all together. So let's pull back for a second. We've gone deep on this one project. But what does it all mean? Is this just a one-off thing, or are we looking at a model for something much, much bigger? I think this quote from Worth magazine just nails it. The project in Mansfield isn't happening in a vacuum. It's a perfect example of this bigger trend that's been quietly happening, the retooling of the American heartland, a shift from the Rust Belt to the Tech Belt. And that's really what this is. It's a potential blueprint. You take a local asset, in this case natural gas, and you use it to power the global infrastructure of our century, data and AI. And in the process, you create high-tech jobs, you boost the local economy, and you build this real, tangible bridge between America's industrial past and its digital future. So all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. This model is incredibly pragmatic. It's using the resources available right now to solve a huge immediate problem. But is this gas-powered circular economy the final destination for American industry? Or is it a really clever bridge, a transition that gets us on the way to a future powered by something else entirely? That's the big question, and honestly, only time is going to tell.